My name is Avery Davis Lamb. I'm a dual degree student. At the Nicholas School, I'm a Master of Environmental Management student with a concentration in ecosystem science and conservation. And at the Divinity School, I'm pursuing a degree in theological studies. I see my studies as cultivating both the skills and affections to be an effective environmental leader. The skills very much coming from the Nicholas School side of really robust technical approaches to problems using GIS and policy, community-based techniques, and then the affections coming from the Divinity School side, thinking about the spiritual issues, systemic issues of selfishness and greed and consumption that underlie environmental problems, and then not separating these out, but integrating them, holding firm to a belief that that integration is where innovative solutions are going to be found. Environmental justice has come to be really central to my Christian environmental ethic, healing for the oppressed and caring for the people who are the most downtrodden by society. When we look at those stories today, it becomes clear that those people are folks who are living in environmental justice communities, those communities that have done the least to contribute to the environmental crisis and yet are bearing the greatest burden. In a lot of those communities, the church is a central organizing force. I've found that when I start working on environmental justice with those communities, it becomes clear that the Center for Community Organizing is often a historically African-American congregation. And so not only is there sort of this theological mandate for environmental justice, but, just from a practical perspective, it makes a ton of sense to work with these church communities because at the end of the day, it is those communities that are already doing the work of environmental justice. And I see my role as coming along to support them in whatever way I can. My master's project for my MEM is focused on helping coastal congregations adapt and become resilient in the face of climate disasters. How can churches be hubs of resilience in their communities? How can they help their communities weather both the spiritual and the physical storms of the climate crisis? Be that hurricanes or saltwater intrusion or hog waste. I'll be working with several coastal congregations in North Carolina, developing a specific plan for how they can plan for and address those problems over the next 10, 50, and 100 years. And then for my Master of Theological Studies thesis, I'll be looking at a term called climate hospitality, specifically in light of the movement of humans and non-humans driven by climate change. How can we reshape our rituals to incorporate people who are fleeing climate disasters? How can we rethink the way that churches use their land to make space for creatures who are losing their habitat due to unsustainable development or to climate change? And how can we support the growing number of people who are experiencing traumatic events because of climate change? The environmental justice movement. Born in Warren County, North Carolina, there was a toxic waste site that was going to be located there. And it was the racial justice minister for the United Church of Christ, Ben Chavis, who was the central organizing force. And the United Church of Christ published a report that was the first report to make the connection between toxic waste sites and racial demographics. And so, it's really from the beginning that the church has been so centrally involved. What has become clear to me and clear to so many people, I think, over the last year is just how inextricably connected environmental justice has to be with racial justice movements. And of course, it's so clear in the words of Eric Garner, I can't breathe. Those same words are uttered by millions of people who are living in extreme pollution in environmental justice communities. Any sort of solution that separates the climate crisis from the way it is disproportionately impacting frontline communities is going to be a false solution. The only chance for the kind of unprecedented change that needs to be made on such an unprecedented timescale is for a massive groundswell of people power. And that, of course, comes through organizing and through advocacy. The climate crisis is a crisis. But the climate crisis is also an opportunity to build a more beautiful and a more just world. And I think it takes a kind of hope to say that. Hope is not a passive optimism or an expectation that no matter what, things are going to get better. In the Christian tradition, hope is an active orientation to the world. It's a belief that is paired with action. I put trust in God that a better world can come. And I put trust in people that we can work together and we can organize and we can advocate and build a world that is even more beautiful and more just and more equitable than one we can imagine. And that's where I find hope.